Hello, Scorpio. Welcome back if you are a returning visitor, and a big hello to new viewers. I've mentioned in my other vids that Mercury retrograde has really thrown me off this time. Disruptions in my schedule with an emergency trip regarding family, and I've been having tech and internet issues while I'm here away from home. I do hope it's been treating you a little bit better though. Anyway, as I promised in your August video, I did get the nerve to record my own voice and nix the AI voice, just so it can be a little bit more personable. Okay, let's get straight into this then. In this video, I will give you your main theme for September. Then I will summarize some of September's major planetary dynamics and how that may affect you. I'll do a quick revisit of a couple of astrological events in the past since we have retrograde planets and repeating aspects. And I will end with a couple of things to look forward to in the future, specifically next year, because they are very special. And if you have Aquarius degrees in your natal chart, it will be especially significant for you guys. So, first, I have titled September Hurry Up and Wait because it is not very different from August's lazy end of summer chill flavor. It is all about organization, details, and everything. So, redoing, reconversing, and so on. This is mainly due to six planets being retrograde, inclusive, inclusive of the seventh minor body of Chiron, but I will touch on this list a little bit later on. Scorpio, your focus, activities, phone calls, emails, and texts are regarding your 11th house of friends, groups, group of friends, associations, and your future goals and plans and dreams and wishes and so forth this month. Something here has either begun and gotten stuck or is on a loop, but it has a start and stop feel to it. The repeated conversation, lack of information, and half action has forced you and others to slow down and stop, to assess and do redos because the full story has yet to be known. Maybe you're getting different parts of the same story or opinions from your detail oriented friends. Maybe it has to do with the health industry, and your friends or associates are nurses or doctors. Maybe they're backpedaling on COVID because they too don't have the final story of who, what, why, and when. These are just examples. Maybe your friend made you switch gyms, exercise routines, or put you on a keto regime plan that was not convenient or challenging enough for you. Maybe you are moving with a friend or to a friend's place, but there are questions still with the property, lease, amenities, or commuting ease involved. It could have been you who kept missing your group meeting because of scheduling or health conflicts. Maybe the required group meditation appointment, pastor visit before you tied the knot, or school advisors' class suggestions have changed and yet to be finalized. It could simply be your own lack of attention to details, and that was probably due to your routine or organization changing and affecting your 11th house of friends and groups. Or it could be your friends and groups have been just as stuck. So it's been two steps forward and one step back to fix these errors and or to clear up misunderstandings, etc. This is all due to Mercury in Virgo, your 11th house of friends and groups, stopped forward motion and has been retrograding and gathering information you missed and that you need. It is stationing direct mid month to put everything back on track in your 11th house. But Mercury will still be in shadow of its retrograde until the end of September. So, if you have had to ditch plan A for B because of the retrograde, I would suggest still having plan C till the end of the month. Because whatever you're, and I'm doing air quotes, whatever you agree on between the 15th and the end of the month with groups or friends may yet again change or be tweaked. And if you are old enough, every 18 or 19 years, Virgo new moons tend to be the start of working and learning something new. Again, and for you, it is about friends, associations, groups, and your future goals. And this extends to your internet, social network, and also your, oh, I mentioned that, wishes and dreams. It can also change your lifestyle, job, careers, health, and routine in good ways, especially when they correspond with Uranus and Pluto changing signs in the same year or two. And we did have that change this year. And also, if you have Uranus factors in your birth chart. So think back to maybe 2011's Virgo new moon. You embarked on a new learning and working path with friends and groups back then too, or a new habit and routine in this area has benefited you since. It's coming back home to set you on a new course for another 18 or so years, since we also have Aries and Libra in the North and South nodes, respectively. But I explained that in your August video. So maybe replay that, and I will also have dedicated videos on planets and nods and all that in the future. But the takeaway is to focus, focus, and focus some more because we have a beautiful new Virgo moon coming up mid month in your 11th house. And as I mentioned, um, oh, I got a brain fart. Sorry about that. And the shiny brand new friend, group, or social network will open the door leading to a new exciting future. And if it doesn't manifest right away or the opportunity isn't, presented to you, um, it's not going anywhere, your opportunity rather. So instead, plant the seeds on the new moon as you will have until this time next year to bag this. The other glitches, disagreements, or misunderstandings has been caused by Venus, retrograde in Leo. Leo is your 10th house of career, status, reputation, unpaid or charitable work, and authority figures. Something about family or family themes were also involved with this career and status, as well as something behind the scenes or in secret regarding your friends. Only you know what that was, and of course, if you have any Virgo factors in your natal chart. In any case, Venus attracts money, love, passion, goodwill, and all things pretty and nice. So, something new may have started in your career and status zone and with authority figures, um, and they were either receptive or helping your career and status. But then Venus stationed retrograde, and either issues regarding your status or power brokers went MIA or became fussy and demanding, and thus your 10th house activities stalled or were under review as well. Venus has since stationed direct, and these areas will once again pick up and smooth out. But, excuse me, but it will be a slow process in September as Venus moves very slowly this month and will be moving direct in its retrograde shadow until October. So be patient until it picks up speed. Other areas of concern may be the natal houses Venus rules, which are Taurus and Libra. Those are your seventh house of marriage, partners, contractual agreements, and open enemies, and your 12th house of secrets, spirituality, your psyche, and hidden enemies, respectively. Okay, you could have also had a past partner come back up, or you and your partner could have disagreed on almost everything and maybe even discussed a split. Your spirituality was certainly tested, and your hidden self or secrets could have been a hot mess. Or maybe the disagreement with your partner was about your secret or your hidden self. The 12th house is also the house of self undoing. You may have realized that the way you yourself handled your secrets or disappearance was the cause. Or it could have been a secret test um, that you guys employ. Scorpions are famous for um, testing their partners or friends um, with a secret test. And if they pass, then that's it, they're in the club. Or if they don't, then there's trust issues. In any case, now that Venus is doing an about face, you have learned those lessons, and either things will go back to normal or you'll make changes because of those lessons. For those attached Scorpios who survived the Venus retrograde, congratulations. It will feel like a brand new partnership. For those who have not, you already knew a long time ago that the inevitable result about your partnership. And actually, Venus retrograde showed you that it is better to part ways. Again, it all really depends on your natal chart and the degrees and the backstory, of course. Suffice to say, there is no, again, air quotes, good or quotes, bad in astrology, but a blessing or a blessing in disguise. So keep that in mind. We have an opposition between Saturn and Neptune, and both are in your fifth house of romance, children, creativity, pets, and gambling. I will explain this when I summarize the retrograde planets, but I wanted to mention it because the fifth house is also a love and creativity house. And since your partnership house may be involved, some of you may also be discussing children or even pets in this hookup or split. So it may be part of your focus. Anyway, so how can the same house oppose one another? Remember, I said both Saturn and Neptune are in your fifth house um, because they're in Pisces. It can, and there is a reason for it, but I will explain that a little bit later. Okay, so on to Pluto. And we are mentioning Pluto because there is an aspect to Pluto. I will also explain that during your September lineup. But for now, I'll give you a quick note on why the aspect this month is important. Pluto is retrograde in Capricorn, which is your third house of communication. So, communication devices and the spoken word, public speaking, teachers, influencers, dialogues and monologues, commuting and the modes of commuting, siblings in your neighborhood, as in Jason Aldean's Try That in a Small Town Neighborhood. Basically, your neighborhood tribe. So, natally, Saturn and Capricorn rule the 10th house of career and status. And Capricorn is the sign of government, governing, authority, prestige, old money. Capricorn is slow and steady, and a methodical social climber. Capricorn is very dependable and thus carries prestige. Railguards, rules, and regulations are Saturn's MO and are carefully thought out and put in place, so mistakes and falls rarely happen. And if they do, it is quickly brought back in line. And I mentioned some of this in your August video, but Pluto has been in Capricorn for the past 14, 15 years in your third house of communication, commuting, siblings, and the neighborhood. And you have been through a fundamental change, something of a death and a rebirth, if you will, with the way you communicate, especially with communication devices, tools you employ. You most likely learned a foreign language, or you know you're, or sorry, where was I? Yeah. So maybe you learned a foreign language, or you now feel you inherently understand the culture behind that foreign language. You have grown closer to siblings, or they see you as dependable and prestigious in some way. You may have changed your mode of commuting rather, so that you appear to have more authority. Maybe you even became a structural engineer involving involving government projects, like maybe you were an engineer for like how they build um, highways, tollways, roads, bridges. Maybe you were involved in some part of government logistics, etc., etc., and etc., as she said or he said in The King and I. And in early March, April, some surprising opportunity became yours regarding the third house, but that will be discussed a little later. Basically, I wanted to note this because your 10th house of career and authority figures can be better figured out by what you learned in the areas of communication, communication devices, speaking, and or commuting. Maybe even siblings and your neighborhood has rubbed off on you, where it has defined your understanding and made you some type of expert, where your career will benefit from now and moving forward. Of course, if you also have Capricorn factors in your natal chart, double and triple what I said, as it has been quite personal for you. Yes, it gets even more complicated than that, but for the layman, know that your 10th house needs your attention to detail and organization, and especially maybe set up a habitual balanced routine because it's required, as what you mastered in your third house will be used to climb the social ladder of your career and status. Authority figures are watching and taking notes, and they can be quite judgmental, exactly like a Virgo is. The devil really is in the details, Scorpio. So focus on that. Now we'll discuss the retrograde planets before we get into the September lineup. So, as I mentioned, we have six planets in retrograde. Um, and let's start with the first one. Saturn is in Pisces, your fifth house of love, romance, children, creativity, pets, and gambling. Neptune is also in Pisces and your fifth house. So, this is what, when I spoke in the monologue about the opposition um, of Saturn, between Saturn and Neptune, and how can the same things be opposed to each other. Well, first, Saturn is the master teacher or the disciplinary. He's associated with patience and time. Um, and he really structures a house so that it has foundation. So it teaches you a lot. Neptune is the master of illusions. um, deception, idealism. Um, he is he is in his home sign of Pisces, which he is very powerful there, and he rules such things as the arts, like movies and escapes from reality, the cosmetic industry, alcohol, oil, and of course anything marine related. And Pisces are the two fishes that swim opposite each other. So you can gather where Neptune and Pisces are. A lot of actors and singers have Neptune and Pisces, strong Neptune and Pisces factors. So this house has been mostly an escape for you. Um, at times, or most of the times, it was um, you saw it through rose-colored glasses, because Neptune also rules fog, and the escape from reality sometimes can be so nice that you lose your way, and it's hard for you to come back home or come back into reality, into the real world. So Saturn has come in to basically pull you back into reality, set up alarm clocks. Um, Saturn is not really a killjoy. You can still experience this dreamy, idealistic fifth house, but Saturn wants you to um, also be grounded. So mm, that's what I meant with the opposition. Um, but both planets are retrograde in Pisces, so you will be reviewing the past few months, um, and seeing where you did escape and where Saturn did pull you back. And you can, when they go direct, you can implement the changes then, because Saturn will have taught you how to. Okay, Pluto in Capricorn. It's retrograde, and that's your third house of communication, commuting, siblings, neighborhood, and the spoken word. And I went in length about it in the monologue. Uranus is in Taurus retrograde, and that is your seventh house of marriage, partners, contractual agreements, and the house of mirrors and open enemies. House of mirrors is basically anyone who is who knows you well and is close to you can can really hold up a mirror to you and reflect back to you how you feel inside. So, for example, um, if someone is mad at you, it is really you yourself. You're mad at yourself, and that person is reflecting back how you're feeling, and so on and so forth. And also, um, since April, when Uranus entered Taurus, um, shocking things or surprises with partnerships have occurred. And that's Uranus. Uranus is the planet of shock and surprise and electricity. And also, Taurus rules money, um, the stock market, and banks. So maybe something with your partners that was surprising, and somehow money was involved or something like that. Okay, but now it's going retrograde, so I'll say that later. Next is Mercury in Virgo. It is retrograde, and Virgo is your 11th house of friends, groups, social networks, associations, and your dreams and aspirations for the future. And the minor body of Chiron in Aries is retrograde, and that is your sixth house of health habits, routine, schedules, service to others, and organizational duties. Um, Chiron is, supposedly was the wounded healer. So he had um, a, a wound that he would never heal from. So he was able to heal others by it. But he was also known as a master teacher as well, but less strict than Saturn was. And a less known thing about um, Chiron is he was somewhat of a maverick, um, did things to his own thinking and what have you. So that's just a side note on Chiron. And Aries, of course, is the me first sign. So, yeah. The one thing that I wanted to mention about retrograde planets is please pay attention to the day before, the day of, or the day after planets station to either go retrograde or direct. Um, Pay attention to the information or the dynamic or what's happening then, because those are the most important. They set the theme um, for that particular information or action to reverberate through time. It's usually those um, days that you remember, like, oh, it was that day that you know changed me, or oh, it was because of that information on that day that I made um, a plan or changed or what have you. Just suffice to say, pay attention to those days. They're stationing. They're very powerful then. Okay, let's go to your September lineup. On the 3rd, so that was the 3rd, 6th, like almost a week ago, Venus did station direct in Leo, and that's your 10th house of career, status, reputation, unpaid and charitable work, publishing, the World Wide Web, and authority figures. So, like I mentioned in my monologue, you may have had glitches or disagreements or fussiness regarding any one of these areas, and especially with authority figures. But now that it has station direct, things will start smoothing out in this area. But Venus just turned direct and it's moving very, very slowly. So, and it's still considered in its shadow, in its retrograde shadow. So it won't really clear that until the end of September, early October. So just be mindful of that. Okay, on the 4th, day after Jupiter stationed retrograde in Taurus. And I explained that in my monologue, the goings on, the expansion in your seventh house since April, um, and and also, it, not only is it the house of marriage, but it's the house of partners. So partners can also be like bosses and or business partners. I don't know if I mentioned that, so I wanted to make that note. So now it's stationing to go retrograde. And if I didn't mention about retrograde, the purpose of the retrograde is it gives us a breather um, for the new things that developed in those houses or the information we received when it was going direct. And it gives us a breather to review what was working, what isn't needed at all and needs to be nixed, or what can be changed. So that's the whole purpose of the retrograde. And when they station to go direct, we make the changes thereof. Okay, the same day, Mercury in Virgo, your 11th house, trined Jupiter in Taurus, your 7th house. Trines are soft aspects. Some of you may not feel them, but they're good aspects. They're harmonious. So, information from your 11th house or regarding your 11th house favored your 7th house. And this is the second time it happened. The first time was August 9th, and it'll happen again at the end of the month or more towards the end. And I'll list that. We'll talk about that. But the first time was August 9th. Okay, yesterday, was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday, on the 8th, the sun in Virgo, your 11th house, this time there was the sun that trined Jupiter, yourself, in your 7th house. So here, if 4 days ago you received some information that pleased your 7th house or made your 7th house feel better, and now the sun is shining, it's spotlighting that information and how favorable it was to your 7th house. Okay, um, these are minor planets or minor bodies, and I usually don't mention them. I do hear when they're at 00 because they are significant. And you may have 00 degrees in your chart. So on the 13th, in a few days, Pallas will enter Libra. Libra is your 12th house of secrets, behind the scenes, your hidden self, spirituality, psyche, and hidden enemies. On the same day, Vesta enters nurturing and family oriented Cancer. Cancer is your ninth house of travel, foreign people and places, people at a distance, academia, publishing, and the World Wide Web. The next day, on the 14th, ta-da, we have the new moon in Virgo in your 11th house. And I also mentioned this in my monologue, but either a new friend, a new opportunity to join a group or an association that may help you with your future aspirations may present itself, and you'll know it. So seize it, and or you can plant the seeds of your intentions regarding your aspirations with your friends, and so on. So 14th, mark your calendar. It is really a beautiful new moon, and it is a powerful new moon that will set your intentions. The next day after that, September 15th, the minor planet of Ceres, the master negotiator and compromises, enters your sign. So your first house of self, physical appearance, personality, your MO, your CV, um, and that's at 00 as well. And so anything that you want to change about yourself or your appearance, um, a series here will help you negotiate through that. Okay, the same day, Mercury in Virgo, your 11th house, does station direct. And remember what I said about stationing. So I lost that. Um, Pay attention to the day before, the day of, and day after um, of the 15th and the station, and specifically what information you receive regarding your 11th house, because that again will reverberate through time. Um, 2 days later, on September 17th, Venus in Leo, your 10th house of career and status, will square, this is a hard aspect, Jupiter in Taurus, your 7th house of marriage and partners. And this will happen for the third time. The first time it happened was June 11th. Second time it happened was August 22nd. And this will be the third and final time. Um, I always tell people to look at their texts, emails, phone calls, and it'll trigger a memory of what happened. So if you want to know specifically what it's about, look to these two dates and you'll have a clue on what'll come up again on the 17th. And the one thing I've been mentioning in the videos regarding hard aspects, a lot of people fear them or really dislike them. I actually like, um, out of all the hard aspects, I like squares and oppositions because they help jumpstart a, a, a locked situation, um, whether whether it's your way or the other way, but at least it moves it forward. It breaks that that lock. So I always say, do not fear squares and oppositions. I actually think you guys should look forward to those because it gets things moving. Okay, and 2 days later, the Sun in Virgo, your 11th house, opposes Neptune in Pisces, which is your fifth house of love and romance. So the Sun shining the spotlight on your 11th house of friends and aspirations, opposing Neptune in Pisces. You might, maybe there's things you want to do with your friends or groups, or your future is not sitting well with maybe your children or your lover, or you can't be as active because you have pets, or I hope there's no gambling problem. Please don't have gambling problems. Hmm. Or maybe it's lacking some kind of creativity, or you have to come up with some kind of creative way to associate. So look to the 19th regarding this opposition, and you'll have a chance to review that because Neptune is in retrograde in Pisces. You'll have a chance to review and see how you can smooth out these two these two opposing each other. Okay, on to the 21st. The Sun in Virgo, your 11th house, will trine Pluto in Capricorn, your third house of communication and commuting, which is a very good aspect. So, some information here, soft aspect, again, you may not feel it, but I think you guys may, because Pluto is a powerful planet and it's finishing up the last details of Capricorn. It's retrograde in Capricorn because it has to tie up loose ends or finish up the story. So, um, the Sun in Virgo, trining Pluto in Capricorn. So, something that you figured out with friends and groups is having a good aspect with your communication or other areas in your third house. So that's the 21st. On the 23rd, the sun enters Libra, and that's your 12th house of spirituality, secrets, behind the scenes, your hidden self, confining institutions like hospitals or prisons, hidden enemies, and self undoing. And that's at 00. And this happens every year, of course, and your focus shifts to behind the scenes. Um, or you enjoy being alone during this time to just hear your inner self a little bit more clearly. On the 25th, Mercury in Virgo, your 11th house, will for the third time trine Jupiter in Taurus, your 7th house. So remember, I said in the beginning of the month, it was the second time. And then now on the 25th, it's the third and final time. Again, it's a trine, a soft aspect. Um, and a lot of people say that you really, if you don't have the factors or the degrees, you really don't feel trines. But I'm going to say you are going to feel it because for something to happen a third time, there's a reason for it. And again, go back to August 9th was the first time. Second time was a week ago, and then this will be the third and final time. But it's a good aspect. It's information. You're getting information that's favorable to your 7th house. It's probably information that when it was retrograde, you didn't have, and you had problems with the 7th house. But yeah, look to the 25th. It's a good aspect. And the final major cosmological happening in October will be on the 29th with a full moon in Aries. Aries is your 6th house of health, habits, routines, schedules, service to others, um, and your organizational duties. So this this full moon does have some hard aspects, and Aries is a fire sign, the me first sign, very combative. It's ruled by Mars. And full moons, well, they're simply endings, um, or they can be culminations or a fruition of your efforts. So, and you probably know what it's about. I don't know if you work in the health industry, maybe, or you're you're doing, maybe you do home care or something, but there's the service to others. But this is ending, and maybe most of you are wanting to end this routine and start something new because, like I said, we have so much activity in your 11th house, Virgo, and Virgo does rule the 6th house. So it's correlated, it's related. But also, if you have 6 degrees of Aries, um, you will be impacted definitely. But yeah, it's a full moon. It's either an ending or a fruition. Nothing to fear. No fear. Okay, so let me discuss the last two aspects that I said are favorable to look forward to that happen in the new year. So Jupiter turns direct, stations direct in Taurus in January next year. And Taurus is your 10th house of career. And no, I'm sorry. Taurus is your 7th house. Sorry about that. Of partners. Um, when it turns direct, it will trine Pluto in Capricorn, which will um, which is retrograde in Capricorn. And Capricorn is your wait, I have 6 hours here, but that's wrong because never mind. Tech issues. So Scorpio, Sagittarius, third house rather. I'm sorry. So something regarding your seventh house of partners and partnerships and contracts will very much favor your third house of neighborhoods, neighbors, communication, commuting. Um, it is a very good and important aspect. Um, it is a soft aspect, but I'm going to say you will also feel this because these are two powerhouse planets. And they're powerful planets. And yeah, uh, and Capricorn also natally, um, rules the 10th house of power brokers. But I discussed that. Okay, this is also setting up some type of surprise in May because Jupiter in Taurus, again, your seventh house, will trine Uranus this time in Taurus, your seventh house. So, a double, a double good surprise. Hmm. Some kind of expansion with your partnerships will be expansion with your partnerships will be favorable regarding a surprise with your partnerships. This is very, very good and it can be exciting. So unusual, surprising, or electrical, shocking thing regarding your seventh house of partners, marriage, um, contracts, and it also rules open enemies, but at least you see them coming. Anyway, that wraps it up, and thank you so much, Scorpio, for being patient and for returning, and to all new Scorpios or others who are listening because of their significant others or what have you. You listen to other signs. But if you did find this information entertaining and informative, please do give it a like. It does really help my channel, and consider subscribing. It doesn't cost you anything. In any case, thank you again, Scorpio. Take care, and I will talk to you guys in the next set of videos. All right.